Family, it is the Nightly Spirit. Your girl, Darlene McCoy. I am elated tonight to have Dr. W. Franklyn Richardson. He is the author of Witness to Grace, which is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Dr. Richardson, how you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful in your presence.
Well, I'm so glad because we're in the presence of God.
We know you can sing.
Just a little bit, sir. Just a little bit. But family, listen, we are catching up with Dr. W. Franklyn Richardson. Boy, does this powerful man of God have some things to tell us. We're going to talk in 17 minutes on the Nightly Spirit. Family, it's the Nightly Spirit. It's your girl, Darlene McCoy. I have Dr. W. Franklyn Richardson with us. And first of all, thank you for what you offer to all of us in our community in the terms of wisdom and hope. Your platform has been amazing for years. And what I want to ask you tonight, in the midst of the pandemic, I'm just going to be honest. Doctor, there's so much pain. Can you talk to us about the grace of God in the midst of all of this?
Well, yes, I think any serious thinking Christian has to wonder, where is God and what is God doing? But in the collective, this becomes very pronounced as we look at the rising numbers of people with the virus, the more than 5 million now who are dead, the collapsing economies, the widening chasm between races, the rise of white supremacy, and all of the things that have set the stage for this moment. The question is, do we start again when this is over? Or do we start over? Have we learned some lessons of our own vulnerability? Have we seen that the virus paid no attention to the false walls we put up in our humanity? That the virus swept right through every nation. No wall could stop it. It swept through every class, poor and rich alike, black and white and brown and yellow. Do we see that all of these barriers that we put up are fake, that they really don't mean anything? And does it come to our minds that the very essence of this moment is that nobody else but the human family was devastated by the virus? The birds keep singing, the cows keep mooing, the dogs keep barking, the sun keeps rising, the moon keeps dancing, the stars keep twinkling. All of that continues to go on, and this virus reaches in and grabs our humanity and shakes us at the very foundation. We see the processions of funerals that back up at funeral homes, too many bodies, and cemeteries can't let you in for 3 weeks. Does this get our attention? And yet in the midst of it, we saw great compassion as people began to draw together, as churches and other institutions took on aggressively feeding the hungry and providing food for the needy. As people risked their own lives in hospitals and essential workers, as the good came out of people, good came out. We were so captured by the virus that we paid no attention to the things that normally separated us.
Yes.
The question becomes,
oh my goodness,
do we start over or do we just start up again? And I would say that God is calling us to start over again. And that's basically what I try to lay out in the book.
Family, and we're going to tell you about that book coming up in 15 minutes. Dr. W. Franklyn Richardson is with us tonight on the Nightly Spirit. He preaching. You hear me? We got more with Dr. Richardson coming up 15 minutes away on the Nightly Spirit. It's the Nightly Spirit, your girl, Darlene McCoy. I have Dr. Richardson, and he has dropped some jewels on us tonight. But I need you to understand that this book that he has published, authored, he has Witness to Grace. And what it is, it's a testimony of favor. Could you please break down a bit of what it is that you're talking about in this book?
Yeah, the book is born out of my own reflection. Having come to a place in my life, really I was sick, and I for the first time I had been confronted with my own vulnerability. And so I said, it's time for me to leave my story. And all along I was saying in my life I would put it down because I had been so blessed and instructed by the stories of others Other stories have mentored me. And I'm convinced that if you're going to be successful in life, you can't afford to experience everything for yourself firsthand. You got to get some information from others. And so when I began to reflect upon my life, the single thread that pulled it all together was I saw the grace of God in every episode of my journey. From the very beginning of my life to all of the mountains and valleys that I've gone through, I've seen the grace of God. And so it became aware to me that what I really had been in living was a witness to God's grace. And when I looked at that witness, I had also been favored by God's grace. And so I walked through the book in my life and looking at my life through the prism of grace. And I invite others to do that. I invite others to examine and think about your life through the prism of grace, looking at it through the fact that you don't deserve it. And I do not mean simply the narrow view of salvation or theological notion of grace. I mean the broad view that even if you're not saved, you ought to be able to see grace. Because grace is the gift of the creation. Not one of us purchased the sun, not one of us purchased the moon. We didn't buy our mama, we didn't buy our daddy. All of that is a gift of God's grace. But in order to see grace, you have to look back over your shoulder and see where you've been. And grace pops up in reflection.
My.
In looking back.
My, sir. Be careful, sir. People ain't been able to go to church, but they listening to this radio station and they having some church tonight. I love it. I need you to let everyone know how they can get their hands on this book, Doctor.
Well, it's Witness to Grace. First thing, let me give you the website, witnesstograce.org, witnesstograce.org. It's available on most books channels. It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other places. But as I said, we got to do all we can to build power.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we are such a powerful people to do it.
Yes.
We just got to do it. Unify. Thank you so much for being with us on the show, Dr. Richardson.
Let me tell you, it's been my privilege, and I pray that you'll continue to rise, go from greater to greater.
Thank you, sir, so much. Family, listen, get your hands on this book. As you can tell, it'll richly bless your life. And coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going into another news update with Sybil Wilkes on the Nightly Spirit.